your friend Sean. Good morning, everybody. Please help me out by pressing the thumbs up button, subscribing, sharing, commenting. I appreciate the dialogue. I appreciate the commentary. Thank you, everyone, for your support. I'm trying to get over this cough. And believe it or not, I only cough when I do YouTube videos in my car. If I do a YouTube video sitting down at my home office, I don't cough, but it's only in my car. Excuse me. Anyhow, hey, this week we have some training coming up in San Diego. We have our active shooter response course. It's a 2-day class. It is California Post certified and it's open enrollment. I think you guys are gonna like it. That's in San Diego, California, East San Diego, California. It's near El Cajon. It's in Santee. Make sure you guys register. There's only one more spot, and believe it or not, that spot is probably yours. Because you might be thinking, well, it's probably, by the time I sign up, I'm not going to be able to get in. But that's not the case. There's a pretty good chance you'll get in. That's your spot. It's your spot. A lot of people complain about no access to these trainings, like these active shooter courses. Right here, you have access. So hopefully you guys will show up. Well, you will. If you pay, you'll show up. As for physical conditioning, you have to be in decent physical condition. You have to be able to partner carry somebody. So we're not expecting you to throw somebody on your shoulders and leave. Leave the area egress. All we're asking you to do is grab those arms, and somebody grab the legs, and you get to the CCP, the Casualty Collection Point. That's all we're asking. We're not shaming anybody if you can't do that. I know that some people have disabilities, but you're gonna be notified, right? I don't want to say called out. If you can't do something, that's going to be a discussion in the class, and it's not shaming anybody. It's reality, right? If you're not able to, maybe you have a knee injury or something like that, you're not going to be effective in an active attack situation. In regards to saving lives, I mean, maybe you might be able to take down the shooter, but you're not going to be able to move victims. And part of active shooter training is if we could stop the bleeding, then we could stop the killing. A lot of times in these active attack situations, victims end up bleeding out, and a lot of these unfortunate deaths are they're preventable. They're preventable by stop the bleed applications. So hope to see you guys there. Let's move on to the next topic. Oh, check out the description box. Go to my website, crimebullet.com. If you have questions about the trainings, you want to start your own security company, check out my website. It takes a long time for me to get back to those who want to start their own security company or private investigation firm. I apologize in advance, guys. I have every week it's like 15 inquiries on different platforms. I think the fastest way to get a hold of me is through Instagram. Believe it or not, I have an Instagram handle called The Firearms Trainer. The Firearms Trainer. Anyhow, let's move on with topic. So, how do you avoid getting arrested as a private security guard, as a private security officer? We talked about this so many times. I do not like sports. I mean, I don't watch most sports. If anything, I'll watch like, I might watch the boxing match that everybody's been waiting for the whole year. I might do that. I do like to watch the Olympics, especially the track and field portions. But otherwise, I don't like sports. But I realize that to not get kicked out of a game, whether that be baseball, football, soccer, what do we have to do, guys? In order to not get kicked out of a game, what do you got to do? Well, you have to follow the rules. Apply that to private security. How do you not get arrested? You follow the rules. With the thumbnail that I provided this morning, you have an elderly male private security guard wearing blue being arrested by the Los Angeles Police Department. Allegedly, this was like about 2 years ago. He shot a transient. He shot a transient on private property. I think the transient, he didn't want to leave or something like that, or he, verbally assaulted this security guard. Anyhow, I heard the circumstances. I did like 2 videos about it. I don't have all the details. All I can tell you is that the LAPD found that there was probable cause to arrest this person, and he was taken into custody. Guys, you have to follow the rule book. Okay? Are you supposed to be going off property and making private persons arrest? Because we see it every single year. We see the security officers on numerous occasions. They've trespassed somebody and they follow that person off property. Is part of your contract, does your jurisdiction extend to off property? Now, I really don't like talking about, in a way, you kind of have an unlimited jurisdiction. You're a private citizen. You can technically make a private person's arrest off property, but some people take it too far, and they think that that's part of their duty. Just because you're able to do something, I don't think that it's a good idea to do it. So if you're able to make a private person's arrest off property, should you do it? And the answer is absolutely no. In most circumstances, I would say no. And, I've talked about that you can. However, it would probably be a violation of company policy, right? I've talked about that your insurance company, the commercial liability insurance company, it isn't going to cover that loss. Look, guys, you're not Lexipol. you're not Lexipol. You're not international. Not Lexipol. Interpol. You're not Interpol. You're not international. You're not the international police force. Stay within your lanes. If you have a state manual for private security professionals, like in California, we have the BSIS, Powers to Arrest Manual, that includes the appropriate use of force. It is a lengthy document. In guard car classes, we go over that curriculum from start to finish, what you're supposed to, right? If you follow the rules, now I have my own criticisms regarding that manual, the BSIS, Bureau of Security Investigative Services Powers to Arrest Manual. I do have a lot of criticisms, but if you follow the advice that they have, if you follow the structure, the guidelines, you are less likely than not going to be arrested as a private security guard. Like, there's a very slim chance that you're going to be arrested if you follow that. And that's considering that I have a lot of criticisms regarding that Powers to Arrest Manual. I've seen other manuals. I can't remember what states, but there's like 2 other states. Again, if you follow the manual, it may have been Texas, I don't remember. But if you follow the manual, you follow the guidelines, you're less likely going to get arrested. Now, I invite you to challenge our discussions here. Challenge me. If you know of a circumstance where a private security professional was arrested, even after following the guidelines in a manual, let me know. Now, there's also different burden of proof when it comes to making an arrest. A law enforcement officer can make an arrest if they have probable cause to believe that you committed a crime. And those are supposed to be objective facts, but they usually come out in a subjective manner, right? But it depends. There's so much dependability here. That's the burden of proof. It's not a huge burden of proof. It's not overly uncomplishable. I'm making up words as I drive. Sorry, guys. But it can be it's done on an hourly basis. I would think in America. For court purposes, criminal court purposes, the standard of proof is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not all doubt, but it's beyond a reasonable doubt. Majority, well, the jury has to agree, all of them, through considering the evidence that you are the person who committed the crime. Not all doubt, but significant doubt is usually the way that really significant doubt. That's the way it works. Civil court, you have preponderance of the evidence, which is basically 50% of evidence proves that person committed a tortious act, and then you have something called clear and convincing evidence, which is above 50%. That's the standard of proof. That is the standard of proof. So that would be the standard of proof to find you guilty in civil court or criminal court as a private security officer. And a lot of times when you get arrested as a security officer, it doesn't mean that you commit the crime. It just means that the officers think that they have probable cause to believe that you committed a crime. Okay? I think one way also that we can avoid getting arrested in private security is don't go too much above and beyond. TB's here, man-made protections here. Thank you so much. And then the mic from the Professional Security Journal. Give me 1 second here. Above and beyond. So, oftentimes, you hear the cliche suggestion of go above and beyond. At Allied Universal, the security officers that go above and beyond that are recognized, it's usually medical-related calls. Okay, it's medical-related calls. Maybe you performed CPR, maybe you rescued somebody, maybe you applied life-saving first aid. Those are the circumstances in which it appears that you get recognized publicly with Allied Universal. I know that because I subscribe to the Allied Universal channel. And I am very careful on what I say on there because I don't want to get banned from there. Believe it or not, guys, I'm not banned from Black Knight Patrol. Again, we have eyes and ears all over the security industry, and some of the guys in our inner circle have made some comments, criticizing Black Knight Patrol, and we've seen them get banned from the comments. We've seen their comments removed, and sometimes they get banned from the channel. I got banned from Newton Patrol. Is it Newton Patrol? Which is a private security company. I got banned from there, and I don't want to say it's a threatening message. It's it's basically like a civil threatening message. Something to the effect that there could be litigation or something like that if I continue to run my mouth. Just something that it's something that's interesting because I brought forth some interesting information, and they just don't respond, right? You don't have to keep me on the channels. That's fine. You can delete my comments. That's fine. But Black Knight Patrol hasn't censored me, which is very interesting. But when I am censored, you're going to hear about it. You'll hear about it, and I commend them for that, right? But anyhow, going back to Allied Universal, do they ever give you public notice if, let's just say, you're working at a mall, not a mall, but like a retail center, somebody robs it, or they attempt to rob it, and you engage in a gunfight, and you stop the armed robbers, right? You stop the shooters. That usually doesn't happen. That usually doesn't happen. Let's just say, you're working, and I don't know the rules and regulations of Ally, but let's just say you're working at Walmart, and then there's a shoplifter fleeing the store, and all of a sudden he starts pushing down loss prevention, punches a loss prevention officer in the face, and then tries to escape, and then you have the Ally Universal officer tackling the suspect and putting that suspect under control. Right? Do you ever hear about that? You don't. You don't. When an Allied Universal officer discharges their firearm to actually save a life, do you ever hear about that? And the answer is no. Okay, the answer is no. Guys, you're not gonna get any public recognition. In order to use your gun, in order to use lethal force in security, private security, you have to have a reasonable fear that your life is about to be taken, or you're about to suffer great bodily injury, or somebody else's life is in danger, or they're about to suffer great bodily injury, and this is an immediate threat, an imminent threat. In most circumstances, that's when you can use deadly force. When you try to, get creative, and use your own techniques and use your own playbook, you're not going to win that game. You're not, and that's when guards get arrested. They do their own thing. They play by their own playbook. Some of these circumstances is you're going above and beyond. Like, for example, tackling a shoplifting suspect. Okay, he runs away, you tackle him, you get him to custody, you effect the private person's arrest. Okay, is that above and beyond? Well, are you a hands-off security company? Because there's a lot of security companies that are telling you to just let them go. Observe and report the information in an accurate way. Document it in writing. Call the cops. Notify law enforcement. How about chasing them off property with your golf cart? Okay, does it say anywhere in the post orders that your authority extends to the public streets? Does it? Does it say that if you're on bicycle patrol, you should be chasing people off property because they're a trespasser, right? They're a trespasser, you're going to arrest them, and now they're running away, which they're doing exactly what you want them to do, but that's the topic of the story, and then you're chasing them on the bike. Or they stole something, and then you're chasing on the bike off property. Does it say in your post orders to do that? Does the post orders give you wide discretion? I'm bringing this stuff up because this is crazy stuff that I did when I was 18, and I just got into private security when I didn't know what I was really doing. I'm not 18. I will be 45 this year. So I think I've came a decent way. Telling you guys, sometimes going above and beyond hurts. Vehicle lockouts. Okay, do you have a lockout kit like a Slim Jim in your privately owned vehicle, in your bug out bag or bag that you have, right? Let's just say you patrol a mall parking lot. There's a club there's a bar. Everybody's getting out. It's a 2 a.m. call, right? Everybody gets out. Everybody's trying to hook up with each other, not realizing how the other person will look like the next day. But that's topic of the story. Anyhow, you got the group of ladies that's stranded at 2:50 in the morning, right? They are so intoxicated that they lost their keys, right? They lost their keys, they lost their phone, they don't know what the hell they're doing, and they call security, they wave you down, and they might be flirtatious with you, say nice things to you. Hey, can you please help me? I'm stranded, I'm stuck. The mermaid game, right? Oh yeah. I'm a certified locksmith. let me get into my trunk and help y'all out. Right? Because, guys don't think. So they pull out the Slim Jim, they start using the wedge, and they try to unlock the door. Like, maybe this is their second time in life doing that, right? And then what do? You end up pulling a bunch of wires out, right? I don't know, the vehicle catches on fire, some crazy thing. Okay, you think that these ladies at 2:45 in the morning, do you think, honestly, at 1 p.m. when they come in to complain, they're going to be like, oh, well, you tried your best. Mr. Security Officer, you tried your best. Thank you so much. No, it ain't going to happen. They're going to go to your supervisors and ask why you damaged their car. Why did you just create $5,000 of damage? But you went above and beyond because you are a gentleman or lady. Ladies usually don't. They do some stupid things, but they don't do stupid things like us men at 2:45 in the morning. It's thinking that they're they identify as a tow truck, right? they're not doing that. Now, anyhow, does it say to unlock vehicles? Do you have any training in that? I mean, these are questions. So, what I do in my law enforcement role is I basically tell them, hey, you know what? I don't have any training in this, and there's a decent chance or there's a good likelihood that I'm going to rip out some wires and cause damage to your vehicle. Do you want me to continue to try to unlock your vehicle? Now, this is assuming there's no tow truck, which almost never happens, or tow company. It happens to me like once every 4 years, right? So I get it all on camera. Some agencies, some security departments have a waiver, right? But anyhow, going back to the manual, the post orders, are you supposed to be doing that? No. If you're doing that, then you're going above and beyond. And these are the above and beyond things that will get you in trouble. Otherwise, I can't think of anything else medical related. Maybe medical related call. Maybe you think you're a paramedic or a doctor. I don't know. Maybe you have somebody in your custody for shoplifting. I have a huge headache. Hey, take this. I got an antidote for you. And you pull out your own medicine cabinet that's in your trunk. You give them something, and then they OD, or not OD, but they have a negative reaction to the medications that you gave them. Just think about these things, guys. Does it say in your post orders that you're a paramedic, an EMT? I mean, it might, right? Because some of you are. Or you're a doctor, you're a physician assistant, you're a nurse practitioner. Does it say that you're supposed to be performing these duties? Again, these are things to think about. I had a sergeant that did that to one of the guys on my team. Oh, he goes to Mexico a lot and gets all these medicines like penicillin. Anyhow, this guy was feeling sick. He's like, oh, Sarge, I want to go home. He's like, no, you're going to stay here. He's like, I don't feel good. No, I got you, man. Let me get into my medicine cabinet. I have a bunch of stuff from Mex. So he gives him like a bunch of pills, and this dude blacks out, like in the briefing room. Like he falls and then collapses, and I have difficulty picking him up because he's like 6'2", like 270-ish. But anyhow, we had to call 911. Well, 911. We called the fire knocked on the door next door to the fire department, who basically transported him, right? But again, guys, if your job is not doctor, don't be, or locksmith, don't be doing these things, please. If you're doing these things, then just stop. You're just creating too much liability. All right, guys, I'm out. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions for others, please ask. Oh, FCJ9 says giving out peanuts to random people with nut allergies. Oh, damn. That's a good one, right? I didn't think about that. Maybe somebody wants something to eat, and you want to be Mr. or Mrs. nice person. Let me feed the homeless. Let me feed the less fortunate, which is honorable. But just imagine you cause a peanut allergy reaction. Damn. Does it say in your post orders to that you're feeding the homeless, or you're feeding the, those who are living under their means, right? Does it say to feed those who are hungry? Like, it doesn't say that in your post orders. So once again, follow the rules, follow the playbook, and you will probably not get arrested. All right, guys, take care.